Good afternoon. My name is Sonia McDonald, and I am the Executive Director of the Centre for Community Study, which is a Hamilton, Ontario-based nonprofit urban research group. We have been working with the support of the City of Hamilton, local community groups, and citizens for the last 5 years on what we call the Hamilton Media Project, with the aim of expanding the level of local media diversity in our community. Central to the project has been our work to effect change here at the Commission. Before I begin, I'd like to thank Commissioners and staff for providing me time for my comments, which will deal almost exclusively with issues surrounding the local television market in Hamilton, Ontario. I will begin with a very brief review of certain unique characteristics of the Hamilton television environment, and then several specific points dealing with the renewal of 2 licenses. The first for CHCH-TV in Hamilton, and the second is for Sun TV, a station that is licensed to serve both Toronto and Hamilton in local programming. First, let me provide you with some context about our community. Hamilton is one of Canada's older cities. Located at the western tip of Lake Ontario, it is the 9th largest census metropolitan area, or CMA, in the country, on par with Winnipeg and Quebec City, with a regional population of over 700,000 people. With the inclusion of the Niagara Peninsula, the population is well over 1 million. In terms of defining the local Hamilton television market, the Commission, as recently as the Diversity of Voices decision, identifies that, quote, the parameters of a local market will be determined using the BBM Nielsen definition of the local radio market. Thus, the Commission lists Hamilton as its own local broadcast market on its website. Yet, BBM Nielsen does not gather or publish data related to Hamilton as a unique television market, but rather only as part of the Toronto-Hamilton extended market. This has fueled a long-standing lack of diversity in local programming for our region, and it has ensured a monopoly in local television for CanWest, with the Commission's refusal to license any new local stations for the area. This hearing provides a unique opportunity for the CRTC to clarify the definition of the Hamilton market for the broadcasters like CanWest and Sun TV, and for the Hamilton region. Let me now turn to my comments about CHCH-TV. Hamiltonians are fiercely proud of our local television station, which was founded by Ken Sobel in 1954. We like to remind folks that CHCH was one of the first independently owned local stations in Canada that produced significant levels of local programming, ranging from news and public affairs to sports, variety, and children's programming. There is tremendous local support for our station, albeit not in its current format, as demonstrated when CanWest announced its intentions to sell CHCH-TV earlier this year. This includes the coalescing of a local nonprofit group interested in buying the station and refocusing it on local news and public affairs programming. Also, Hamilton City Council passed a motion in support of keeping CHCH open and focused on local programming, while stating that, quote, the experiment with ETV has been a dismal failure, end quote. These actions were supported by the broader Hamilton citizenry, as demonstrated in the thousands of individuals who joined a social networking group online related to the issue, and many more who also attended rallies in support of keeping our station open and local. Despite this demonstrated demand from our citizenry for the preservation of our local television station, we do not see a similar commitment in CanWest's application for renewal of the station. Rather, CanWest is requesting a significant reduction from 36.5 hours per week of local programming to only 5 hours a week. The Centre for Community Studies strongly opposes the request for this change. CHTV is the only television station licensed to exclusively serve the Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara regions, a market of well over 1 million Canadians. This reduction would remove any substantive local element to the station. The Commission recognized the importance of the independence of a local Hamilton television station when it approved the transfer of license to CanWest in 2000. The approval was contingent on CHCH's, quote, continued operation as a standalone independent station, providing a high level of local programming, complemented by a full 8 hours per week of unduplicated priority programming. Since then, Hamiltonians have witnessed the whittling away of our treasured institution. First, with CanWest's move to remove the local identity of this 50-year-old station with its rebranding to a de facto specialty channel E. This was followed by another recent approval by the Commission to relax the separation of programming between CanWest Toronto Global and CHCH. And now, CanWest is requesting this extensive reduction in local programming. The importance of local content for a community is something I found repeated in the transcripts of the proceedings of this hearing, particularly by Mr. Asper in his comments on Tuesday, April 28th, where, in response to the Chair's question about the purpose of conventional television, Mr. Asper stated that, quote, "The essence of conventional TV is the provision of local information to people in those markets. Specialty, meaning channels, does not provide that. And it's also a question of the diversity of voices that do provide that information. It's not just having one conventional TV channel and one local TV station. It's having several of them in a market. And it provides the support and the underpinning of the democracy we live in. It's the way information is disseminated to people so they can make informed decisions about their elected officials. And it's also where they get to know about their community. When a school is going to close, when a road is going to be paved, when a hospital is going to be open or closed." End quote. By his comment, it appears that Mr. Asper is speaking out of both sides of his mouth. First, he's extolling the virtues of local programming, while at the same time asking to substantially gut the local programming requirements of the Hamilton station. Furthermore, he is trying to have his cake and eat it too by continuing to transform the only conventional Hamilton television station into an entertainment specialty channel devoid of local identity. Thus, the Commission should deny the requested reduction of local programming hours for CHCH-TV, as this is the core element of the station's local identity, without which it is a de facto, second-tier entertainment specialty channel, and that was clearly not what the station was licensed stipulated. I would like to turn now to our comments related to Sun TV, formerly Toronto One. You heard from Mr. Nellis this morning. As the Commissioners are well aware, the initial application for this license was to establish 3 local conventional stations in Kitchener, Waterloo, Toronto, and Hamilton. Your predecessors decided to award 1 license to Craig Broadcasting to serve Toronto and Hamilton. At the time that the station was sold to its current owners in 2004, we appeared before the Commission on behalf of the City of Hamilton to argue that because of the initial application process and due to the title of the station to serve Toronto and Hamilton, that this station should be required to provide local programming for the Hamilton region. In its decision 2004-503, the Commission agreed with our position and stated, quote, "It considers that Toronto One's local programming should appropriately reflect the particular needs and interest of Hamilton residents and will expect the new licensee to demonstrate the specific efforts it has made in this regard when it applies for renewal of the Toronto One license in 2008, end quote. As noted in our brief, the applicants demonstrated some limited efforts, such as including the occasional Hamilton personality on some of their Toronto programs, yet they have not provided substantive Hamilton-specific content. As a result, we have requested that the Commission more clearly articulate the Hamilton local content conditions for Sun TV, requiring that they are commensurate with those for Toronto. Additionally, to ensure that these conditions are upheld, the Commission should impose on Sun TV more accurate reporting standards, similar to those imposed on CanWest in their provision of local programming to the Niagara region, found in Decision 2005-544. Quebecor responded to our written submission in a letter to the Commission on April 8, 2009. I'd like to focus my remaining comments on addressing certain claims made in that letter. The first point relates to the author's summary of the CRTC local programming requirements articulated in Decision 2004-503, where she seems to avoid mention of paragraph 21, where, as I stated earlier, the Commission states that, quote, Toronto One's local programming should appropriately reflect the particular needs and interests of Hamilton residents and will expect the new licensee to demonstrate specific efforts it has made in this regard when it applies for renewal of the Toronto One license in 2008, end quote. So, alongside the station's requirements for Toronto local programming, this decision clearly states that Sun TV is required to provide local programming for the Hamilton community. This is stipulated in the decision. It reflects the history of the granting of the license, and it differentiates Sun TV from other Toronto stations like CBLT, CFTO, and City TV, as these were not licensed to serve Hamilton and Toronto and Hamilton. The second point I'd like to address relates to the designation of Hamilton as a television market. The arguments presented by Quebecor in their letter are contradictory. In one instance, they rely on BBM designation of the Toronto-Hamilton extended market to absolve themselves of the requirements of specific local Hamilton content, where elsewhere in the same letter they acknowledge, quote, that Hamilton does have a separate social, political, sporting, and cultural life from Toronto, end quote. Regardless of this contradiction, the fact remains that they have not fulfilled the obligations established in 2004. Therefore, we request that the Commission take the steps I suggested earlier to ensure that Sun TV fulfill its requirements. Additionally, given their past performance, we urge the Commission to consider granting only a one-year license term for Sun TV to ensure their timely compliance with these conditions. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding my comments.